It's better to have without the mic or with the mic? Ah, with the mic. Ah, yes. So I have quite number of slides this morning, but I will cover is let me tell you what I'm going to cover. One of the things I'll cover is the basics things about the internet history. That is technological advances that had happened. Then internet governance. Slightly, I'm going to touch upon internet history in Sri Lanka. I think Professor Gihan is also here. Sinhala development also is here. There are lots of slides here. IoT is also there, but I'm not going to cover at all anything about IoTs, right? Internet of Things. Well, then the other one is I'm trying to give more weight to the internet governance, what had happened um, with the technology advance, because that's more important. But let me go through a basic things first. Well, a lot of people talk about what internet is, and we normally write internet with capital I, right? Who writes with capital I? Who writes with simple I? Can I have some idea? Who writes the capital I? Right. But recently, in somewhere in 2003, normally it's a capital I. Internet, always, I also write with capital I, right? But recently, somewhere in 2003, Economist, what I the one of the magazines, right? What they did was they start writing with a simple I. So everybody started saying, "What is this all about?" Internet has become so common, and that is something that you see. So they started arguing about the fact whether it's a capital I or simple I. So a lot of forums in the public, in the media, people start writing I because it's just some part of everybody. So now I still as a technologist, I think Asela, Professor Gihan has also said, we all write with a capital I. But a lot of people start writing with a simple I because it's so common now. So it has become part of our lives. Without internet, I don't know, some of us can't even function right now, right? So because of that, it has become something part of us. Because of that, we write with a simple I. So that's another thing I just want to bring it, and this argument about capital I and simple I. So what is internet? So a lot of people talk about the internet as a network of networks, which is a very simple, basic definition. But in addition to that, also there's something else. There's a common protocol called the suite of protocols called TCP/IP. So in order for internet, there's another thing also that should be there. That is a TCP, transmission control protocol and internet protocol. So that is what makes internet, because there are networks. Earlier there were networks, right? So the TCP/IP had made what we call internet today. So the two people I also want to mention in internet history, that is Bob Kahn and Win Cerf. The two in 1974 introduced the TCP/IP. And so a little bit of I want to make sure that you also understand this internet. A lot of people, want to think about internet. Now today it's so common. Some people today think about internet as web. Now in this generation, in your generation, maybe the Facebook, right? Or Twitter, whatever, right? So that's the subsequent, the web also, just like everybody said, when you go to web, that's internet. But that's not internet actually, that's internet, but it's a resource on the internet. Right. Next one is when we came to internet, when I came, right, somewhere in 80s, this is what we saw, internet. And I think only 3 of us are here, I think. I don't know about you. There are about 3, 4. This internet, I don't know whether you have even seen internet, what I saw and Professor Gihan saw. That is the email. One of the first thing I was introduced was to email, right? Then I had nice little FTP accounts. There's something called Gopher. Do you remember? Any of you? Telnet. I don't know anyone, but I think people must be telnetting still. RDV, remote desktop protocol. Finger, I don't think even know fingering what finger is. Right? Right, Hasela? I don't think no one would be knowing this. That is gone away, totally gone. So this is internet that I saw in somewhere in 80s, right? My introduction to internet was somewhere in 85. So this is what I saw, right? And the 89, then the web. Web is now everybody knows about. So this is how internet looks like. This is like a snapshot. I think I got it from Wikipedia. How it has connected internet today, right? So yeah, it has gone. I'm පොඩ්ඩක් සිංහලෙන් කියන්නම් මොකද හේතුව is it I think others okay with that I speak in Sinhala also. දැන් අන්තර්ජාලය කියලා කිව්වහම අන්තර්ජාලය අපි කියනවා මේ අර මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වා වගේ ජාලකරණයක්. හැබැයි ඒකට සම්මුතියක් තියෙනවා. සම්මුති දෙකක් අතරම අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා. TCP සහ IP කියන සම්මුතින් දෙක. දැන් මම ඊළඟට කිව්වේ මොකද්ද? මම දැකපු අන්තර්ජාලය. මා දැක්ක අන්තර්ජාලය ඔයගොල්ලෝ මගෙන් ඇහුවොත් මම දැක්ක අන්තර්ජාලය තමයි අර තමයි සම්පත්. අපි කියනවා අන්තර්ජාලයේ තියෙන සම්පත්. These are called internet resources. Right? So the ඉතිහාසයේ අපි යනකොට සමහරක් ඒවා අභාවයට යනවා. මට මතකයි I like to say this in English also. I love Archie. You know the Archie cartoons. Have you seen Archie cartoons? Who had read Archie? Right? I loved Archie. In 80s, like when I was in the university, and I used to ferociously read Archie. Archie killer cartoons, right? So these FTP servers, if you want, they're listing called Archie servers. I don't know, archival servers. ඒ කාලේ ආචි කාටූන් බේස් කරගෙන තමයි සමහරක් මේ resources වලට නම් තිබ්බේ. Right? Some of the resources were given in the cartoons. Historically, that cartoon names have become very popular. So the Archie had a girlfriend called Veronica. I don't know if any of you know Veronica? No. Jughead? So some of these servers called Archie. Yeah, that's but you have to know this is the internet we enjoyed, right? I mean, so anyway, I'm really old now. I think being 53 years of age. But anyway, that when you read sometimes when you see the Archie cartoon, just think that also had come into the internet also, right? Just think about it. I think Observer or Daily News carries Archie cartoons still, I think. Right. How did all this start? So what I know is in the very first, what we call, this is not commercial internet, what you know today, or the internet that my generation, whatever the 80 generation knew about, or this generation knows about. It just basically they were trying to connect some computers together, right? It all started somewhere in 1969. So almost, so I'll give a little bit of a comparison also. In Sri Lanka, University of Colombo started teaching computing. Dr. Rasika is here. So he represents University of Colombo, right? I guess. It was 1967. The Fortran was taught. The very first Fortran program, which was taught in 1967. Now, let me give you another perspective. I was born in 1964. So 3 years hence, the first Fortran program. So in 1969, I was about almost 5 years of age. The internet had come into existence. So this is the ARPANET. It's a Department of Defense. This is a project of Department of Defense. Another very important thing I want to mention about internet development is something called request for comments. Now, this is something, all of those protocols. අර මම කියවනේ සිංහලේ මගේ කියන්න ඕනේ. ඉතාම වැදගත් දෙයක් තමයි Professor Gihan this morning අද උදේ කතා කළා අර සම්මුතීන් පිළිබඳව. මොකද අපි අන්තර්ජාලය භාවිතා කරනවා නම් සම්මුතීන් තිබිය යුතුයි. මේ සම්මුතීන් සඳහා වැදගත්ම දෙයක් වුණා මෙන්න මේ RFC කියන එක. හැම ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ් එකක්ම has come as a request for comments, right? මේකටත් යම්කිසි ඉතිහාසයක් තියෙනවා. එක ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් කිව යුතුයි මං හිතන්නේ, since that is here somewhere. මෙන්න මේක මට කිව යුතුයි අතර මිතාම වැදගත්. මම හිතන්නේ Professor Gihan, I think you must have been there in the University of California when John Postel was there, right? So he is like the Tsar of internet. So this and also RFC. He's the editor of RFC.
Yeah, separately, he was completely different thing. He was also handling RFC editor, which is not to develop RFC. He was just
he was the editor who actually.
Actually, when you say editor, he didn't edit anything. He when it was given to him, he kept he published it. Maybe he did some.
So this is a very important part. Right? RFC is a very important part. So Joe Postal was there, and also there's another thing about Ayana also that he was there, right? President Ayana is a internet assigned numbers authority. Yeah, so that was the beginning of the IP addresses and the issuing of that. Right? So that's another organization. Now today, ISOC, under ISOC, the Ayana is there, right? Today, Internet Society, under Internet Society. But Joe Postal was a very important person, John Postal, and he died very young. I think he's about 50. Was that person young when he died? Yeah, it was. Right. Okay. So let me go back. So there's a little slightly, I'm deviated from that because that I want to mention this about standards. So the RFC is a very important part of the standards. සම්මුතීන් කියන එක අන්තර්ජාලයට ඉතාම වැදගත්. ඒ නිසා මම හිතනවා RFC කියන එක ඉතාම වැදගත් දෙයක් කියලා අන්තර්ජාලය. ජොන් පෝස්ටර් එරිට තවත් වැදගත් දෙයක් තමයි අයනා එක පාර්ට්යක් විතර. මේ තියන්නේ there is this one of the internet map in 1982 by Postal, which I also got it from internet, right? So then I have talked about the TCP/IP. So the RFCs for the TCP/IP is 791, 792, and 793. So those are very important. That came up to the final form in somewhere in 81. Right. So let us go a little bit further from IANA to ICANN. So there's another organization. Internet Corporation Assigned Names and Numbers, and I'm not going to cover that part because I think you are well suited to cover this, right? But we will actually, that's another organization which is very important for the internet. Right. Right. Let us go for the internet governance because I think we have to. There's a nice introduction about internet governance in the morning. But for me to actually cover the history of internet governance, those days when we were on the internet, and I think the different people have a different idea about internet governance. That's another issue. Now I'm a technologist, and I look at internet governance very differently. But if you are a person, a media person, you have a different concept. So that's why this multi-stakeholder framework had come into existence. A lot of people have a different perspective of the governance. I think even in Sinhala, it's very difficult to say what is governance in Sinhala. You can't say palane, right? You can't say palane at all, right? It's also a kind of a democracy. Prajatantrika. It's not something that there's a democracy means sharing ideas, coming together, and governing. So the different perspective. So the World Summit on the Information Society came up with the following working definition. Internet governance is the development and application by governments, the private sector, and the civil society in their respective roles of shared principles. That's why I said shared. The word is shared. Norm, rules, decision-making procedures, and programs that shape the evolution and use of internet. So that's the concept behind. So this was actually, again, people have challenged this. One of the things that I remember is one of the recent challenges came from the ITU. The governments didn't want some of this multi-stakeholder. So there were a lot of what you call people started talking about how do we govern internet, because no one actually really, if you think about it, really governs internet. Like if you think about it, no one owns it. We all own it. There was a Time magazine, I remember, somewhere in few years back, said, there is a man of the year, right? One of the man of the year was, they put a basically silver page and said, it is you. It is you because of that, what the social media had done. I don't know if you remember that Time magazine. Can anyone remember that Time magazine, that cover? That particular year, they said it is you. So you can see yourself on the cover of the page because of social media. Right. So I am just going to say something about John Perry. The internet is inherently, this is about the independence side. So you have to also remember something. Freedom of expression. Freedom of expression. So something which internet can also carry is freedom of expression. You to express yourself freely, right? And that freedom doesn't mean that you will trespass the privacy of others, right? This is another issue that we Sri Lankans actually face right now. One of the things that we face is, I think that has a certain cultural concept, cultural norms also. And so that doesn't mean, freedom of expression does not mean that that you can write about anybody freely, right? So it's extra national. The internet is inherently extra national, inherently anti-sovereign, and your sovereignty cannot apply to us. We got the few things out ourselves. So that means we have to figure it out, because this is something very new. So this is what actually was going on at that time, right? Anyway, let us look at the early internet governance, 1907 to 1994. Why 1994? Can anybody tell me what the 1994 did? We'll go back to the 1994. Now, in 80s, but as I told you about what the internet that I saw, kind of like it was basically we all actually controlling the internet in any way. Like somebody says something bad, we used to go and say, don't say it, right? Or don't talk about it. So even that when you write in capital letters, when you chat, it means something, right? What does it mean if you write in capital letters? Huh? Can you tell me? What is it? Don't do it. Write in capital letters, which means don't do it. Right? Don't say it. So those days, I remember when we used to chat, we used to say something capital, which means that you are trying to admonish, right? Capital letters වලින් print කරනකොට ඉංග්‍රීසි වල අපිට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඒ ගැන හිතන්න ඕනේ. මොකක්ද අපි කියන්නේ කියලා තව කෙනෙක්ට. chat කරනකොට capital letters පාවිච්චි කළොත් ඒ කියන්නේ අපි warning එකක් දෙනවා. අපි කියනවා එපා මේ වැඩේ කරන්න කියන එක. අන්න so the 1970s, 1994. So I don't know about 1970s, but I know the 1980s, we used to chat a lot on the internet. And those days we used to, basically it's as I would say, like something like this. It's a cooperative, consensus-based decision-making process involve a wide variety of individuals. That means all of us be part of that. We were consensus-based. So that is something which we saw at that time, right? As we go into 1994, there's something happened, the commercialization of internet. Then we have a little bit different. So something happened in 94. The US National Science Foundation, they did something. What they did was subcontract the management, domain name service, to a private US company, right? It's called NSI. So this is not, so some of the community, internet community, that it was not well received. So there was a called DNS was. And then came the, somewhere in 1998, they established the ICANN. ICANN was established in somewhere in 1998, finishing all of those haggling and how to control all of that stuff. Right? I remember vaguely of what was happening at that time. So then I will go into the two WSIS. I think Gihan, you were there, right? Who was there? I think Ruan was there. Ruan. Right. In 2003 in Geneva and Tunis 2005. So there was so much discussion about how to run the internet, right? So so in somewhere after WSIS, they established something called Working Group on Internet Governance, which prepared a report. And again in 2000, Tunis, remember, right, one after another. I think in 2005, they established the IGF. IGF was established, I think. So they have actually talked about IGF in 2005. So this is where this multi-stakeholder framework was put in place. So there is actually during this period of time, I remember talking to a lot of people on IGF. They used to talk about this as a talk shop. Nothing is happening. You go to IGF, talk about it. There is no outcome at all. So this is the kind of the way people used to perceive the IGF, I think, at that time. So not much attention was given. So in 2006, so this actual debate went up. Then the ICANN and the US Department of Commerce, there was another MOU, a serious MOU between the two. Then there was IGF in Athens. And also, this is the framework. The first time came there and started participating in this IGF in Athens. So that's in 2000, somewhere in 2006. Right? Now, let me talk on this. At this particular point, I don't know about this. This was a very important. I have met this person. He was a former ITU. And there was a lot of discussion. I was actually the last ITU, because I was actually I was a consultant to TRC at that particular time. And TRC is the Telecommunication Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka, so there was this debate whether the government, how to govern the internet in Sri Lanka. They were talking about all sorts of things. A lot of people had not understood what internet is, some of them actually, when they start talking about it, right? So there was this discussion. The ITU came up with this idea because China, there was a growing, they want to actually, especially the Google, they said they can't have Google there, right? I mean, basically, so they can't control. So everything has to be filtered by the government. So I remember these discussions going on. I think Asela, you can also remember, right? There was a lot of discussion, even in Sri Lanka. I think Sri Lanka voted against the multi-stakeholder at the beginning. And in somewhere in Dubai one, I remember there was a lot of discussions. And I remember the ITU Dubai, they came back and there was a lot of discussion. So this thing, because I am being ISOC president at that time, I advised the government at that time actually not to, but then because of there were a lot of discussions, I remember there were serious discussions on that. And but then they went and voted with the ITU, and then again it was on hold. I remember that was on hold, and the following year I also went to the ITU on the Korean ITU. Then there was this fairly good discussion with the government and in South Korea, and there was a lot of settlement. New CEO has come from the for the ISO Internet Society, and we met her there. There were a lot of this. Then it was settled. So then today, when we are talking about internet governance, and I think we are talking about this multi-state. The West is talking about it. A lot of the Western countries talk about the multi-stakeholder framework. But the China and then there were several other countries actually of the view they want the governments to carry more weight. I don't want to go into a lot of these. There are a lot of these deliberations. So let us talk about net neutrality. And I think this morning there was this discussion about net neutrality. I think it was started by just Facebook, was it? And I remember, I think in India there was this whole discussion about having now, the connectivity is an issue in all parts of the world. Some service providers wanted to carry some of not the whole internet per se, basically all the web, but some of the favorite things like Facebook, maybe Google, right? So there was this anti-based idea of saying, no, we should have everything. That means anybody comes to the internet should be able to go to internet. So the Indians, of course, favored that because there was this one particular, I think it was one of the major carriers. I can't remember. Asel, you remember it? Because they came to us also. They were talking to us about it. But then we also talked about net neutrality. That is net neutrality in the sense that everything should be available, right? So that's the idea that we are. So this is another one in 2008. Yeah, they give a priority to certain applications. But actually, there was some instances that we should have like Yahoo, Google, Facebook. So we will give to all of these 5 different applications. Others, apart from another bar, prioritize those ones. Some said barred even. Some said you don't need to have to go to this internet. So, but anyway, we actually want on the other camp. We said everybody should have the access. Because otherwise, the people don't have the access to all of the resources on the internet. Right. Right. Next one. So this again during the 2000 is another important part is the growth of social media. The internet, I was part of long time back, especially the web. Initial web, it was just only one unidirectional. It's like a broadcast. The broadcast is something you basically to give everybody whatever the content that you want, right? That means there is no the other way around. Now, even other way in the sense bidirectional. Bidirectional is something is very important. That is where the internet stands out of all the. I mean, even some of the applications stand out. The web applications stand out because that you can both ways you can communicate, right? So that actually became so in the social media that is one major part. Now they all talk about. I think the. Barack Obama becoming the president, and he used the internet so wisely. And he used social media to become the president of the United States. Since then, I think majority all the presidents, even Trump, Trump totally banned all the media. The traditional media was totally out. I don't know whether you followed the American the election. What you would have seen was totally they threw out all the CBS or whatever, all of them are out. It was the social media that done. He just came and said he started blogging and talking, telling what he thought about it. And I think that's what made the difference. So he even didn't care. Even I was told even we saw it on the TV. Some of the major media institutions are not allowed at the White House also, right? So he was so he didn't care at all. Two hoots about media. So that because of the fact that you have the social media. Social media is so powerful. Same, I think, should apply to the Sri Lankan presidential election of 2015. And I tend to believe one of the major contributory factor of the present government, the winning of the present government is social media. Add to that, I must tell you another very important part. To do that, as Professor Gihan has pointed out this morning, is the local languages that made the difference. I always say that in a just like to everybody whenever I give a lecture, I tell that one thing that you should look at what Sri Lankan people think about, just go to the gossip sites. When you go to gossip sites, look at the gossip column, which is in Sinhala. Then you go and look at the comments. And I want you to go and look at the comments and sit down and look at and enjoy it. Right? The real Sri Lankan spirit comes out. Right? In Sinhala, the language is so vulgar. English is so sophisticated. Right? So you see what the difference that had made the local languages. Is that right? Am I right or wrong? Huh? So that's the difference. So what the local language had done to the politics in Sri Lanka. Okay, I will quickly go into the. I'm not going to go into this GTLDs and the all of this CCTLDs and the country code blah 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 blah. Right? I'm going to pass all of that. Right? I'm going to little bit talk about the so there are. I just want. Have you seen the first email that was sent out of Sri Lanka? Commercial internet. From on the commercial internet, or the very first internet, at least the email on the commercial internet. I just have something. I think there's a. I think we'll go that quickly, no? Otherwise, you will not. I'm now passing the slides. Ooh, it's going on. They're all going out of the window. All right. Do you know these people? Somebody speaking. Right? So now I thought of actually putting this, and I want you to go to this the web link, right? I mean, you take the web link, it tells you about the commercial, how the commercial internet came to Sri Lanka, right? So Lanka internet was the main culprit behind it at that time. So this person, right? He's right in front. And this is the person Abhindra. There is Randy Bush. Randy Bush is the person who was actually helping us to get the internet connected. And I had a chance of talking to him on the 20 years of internet in Geneva. We had a very interesting discussion with Randy Bush. And this is one of the thank yous we have sent. So I think I want you to read it because, can you see it? So it says, finally, internet is in Sri Lanka. On behalf of Lanka Internet Service Limited, I would like to thank Randy Bush, who helped and guided us in numerous ways in our long journey towards getting the internet to Sri Lanka. So that's one of the very first emails. Well, here there was a this thing, right? So you can find all of that in that link that I gave you. So if you can get the get my slides. You can just go through it. This is in somewhere in what? 98. Randy Bush talking. Randy Bush had put all of the stuff. Slight little bit of this. I also had some contribution to the internet. I was the first webmaster of www.lk, which is the first web portal of the government web portal in Sri Lanka. And also, I built two other sites, which I think you may have used. One was the news.lk, which was refurbished by me. And the other one is, which I created, was the one that for the president's site, priu.gov.lk, I think, which became a president's website. Then there's another one, Kotmale Internet project, which we gave internet to Kotmale with the radio. That's somewhere in 98. Then I will now go quick. I don't want to do a little bit of a Sinhala, because Sinhala is also, this is interesting. This is, whoa. Go back. This is in Geneva. You know this, who these people are? Right? This is again history. These are the inductees of the Internet Hall of Fame, the very first. You can see some of the people here. Windsurf is here. Randy Bush is here. So also that you have Joe Murray, and there are a few others also here. I think that's a great picture, I think, right? Because we have some connection to any of these people internationally and locally. Well, this is one of the things, and there you can see me somewhere here with Jayantha Fernando. I think Jayantha is somewhere here, and I'm on there. You can't even. I'm now on the same year there in Geneva. So anyway, so there's a little bit of this, and we came back, and that particular, I think, this is after we have started the Internet Society of Sri Lanka, the Internet ISOC LK, right? So anyway, that was this thing. So I'll go back now, little. I go for further. What do you know about? So I told you Sinhala had a huge impact on the single computerization. We are still not there with everything. What I want is a full pack of it. I mean, so we're still working on it. So you can read about it. One of the most difficult languages to be computerized. And so the vowel modifiers and all that stuff, it's not that easy, right? so that became quite a big task for all of us, and I think we had done it now. I think no one talks about whether you have to have Unicode or not, or whatever, right? There were so many discussions earlier. Today that is gone. So anyway, I think we should stop there. I don't want to go into the Internet of Things. There's also another big thing that's coming up right now. A lot of really fantastic stuff to be done in the future, right? So the internet will go into the next phase of it, and it has already started happening. So anyway, I'm trying to finish it now. So therefore, we can give a little bit of time for questions. No? I think we'll go last. So shall we have questions? Do you have any questions? Because I don't want to. This is all about. So if you want, you can take the slides. I have the slides. I'll give it to them. So you can read about Internet of Things, and some of the stuff that we are trying to do is this very interesting about the. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, the questions. Thank you. No questions?
This question is about net neutrality. I've been following the recent issues in US with net neutrality. So I want to know if in Sri Lanka, do we have any laws regarding net neutrality? And
No, we don't have. Actually, that the only thing is I remember when this actually came up, we have a lot of discussion about it. But at the same time, a lot of people had not understood what net neutrality is. And what is the impact of net neutrality is also not had been understood at the moment. So because of some ISPs, even were thinking that to give some this prioritizing for certain applications. And even at this moment, people are talking about it. Right? Is that right, Asela?
Currently, there's no priority for any.
Yeah, at the moment we don't, but there were discussions on that.
Yeah.
Some ISPs actually were, in fact, when I was a consultant at PRC, these discussions came up, and I am an advocate of net neutrality, right? Full advocate of net neutrality, right? So because of that, some of the discussions didn't go any further than just only for at the table. But so there are two things, and I was actually really much affirm to that. One of the things is that internet for all, net neutrality, and the third is no government controls on internet. Unfortunately, some of the things that what I said went out of this thing, and I'm sorry about that. But I remember the same thing came up in somewhere in 1998 about the Tamil net. At that time, the minister was Mr. Kadiragama. Mr. Ravinath Arya Singh, who was the ambassador right now to Geneva, he was at that time the deputy director of the publicity in the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Two of us went to see the minister and explained that it's no point of banning Tamilnet in Sri Lanka. So I remember it's a very vividly, he decided to have www.lk type of that is to combat, to have more content on the internet. That means to put more content on. That is how some of these websites actually came about at that time. And I must tell you that because then the various subsequent government has a different policy on that. But I remember when the he was there, he was very much into to have content together. So I remember that very. Okay, thank you.
And we have more questions
now. After this presentation of the Anja Gengo from UN Secretariat, the focal point for NRIs, now she will join with the online with us.
Yeah, Anja.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't know whether you can hear me. I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Mics. Sit on?
Yes.
Turn off all the mics.
Yeah, Anja.
Can you hear me now? Yes, you can hear me. Well, good. Thank you so much, and good morning to everyone. I believe it's still morning there. I would like to thank you for inviting me to be part of this wonderful school for young people, and I would like to thank you to the organizers for organizing this important track. So my previous colleague really a very comprehensive and great update about the history of the internet as such, about what is the internet governance. So I will give my best not to focus that much on the history of it, but really to focus on the current processes within the Internet Governance Forum that is established under the UN's umbrella. And just to tell you practically how you can be involved in the global IGF processes. So I don't know whether you can see my slides on your screens. Hope you can. I'm just opening the presentation. So very briefly, what is the IGF? I think previously it was said and mentioned the importance of the 2 summits on World Information Society that was organized by the UN in 2 phases, in 2003 and 2005. And to simplify the story, that is the unique opportunity when the community asked for the global decision makers to organize a forum where everyone will be able to come and discuss the policy issues pertaining to the internet. So the years-long negotiations resulted in 2006 of the Secretary General of the United Nations to convene something that we today call the Internet Governance Forum as a multi-stakeholder platform for discussing the issues related to the internet governance. Today, this year, we will be having the 12th meeting in a row that will be hosted by the government of Switzerland here in Geneva. So very briefly to tell you how practically the IGF works. So I believe what you need to know are 2 very important tracks within the organizational structure. The one is called the MAG, or the IGF Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group, that is being convened by the UN Secretary General to advise on the program and schedule of the Internet Governance Forum annual meetings. Currently, the MAG is consisted of 55 members that are coming from various regions as per the UN regional groups, and also from all stakeholder groups. So we do have the representatives coming from governments, civil society, private sector, and technical community. One also very important small office within the IGF that coordinates the whole process is called the IGF Secretariat. This is where I work. And as I said, it's a very, very small office that basically coordinates the whole process of the organization of an annual meeting that accommodates more than 2,000 participants. On the next slide, you can see what are the essential IGF processes. So how does it all start? So what I wanted to understand, the IGF is not just one big annual meeting, but really there's a whole process that goes throughout the year in order to finalize everything with 4 or 5 days of the annual meeting. So everything starts after the MAG is being appointed by the Secretary General. Every year, the MAG is being renewed for 1/3. After the MAG is appointed, they start their open consultations, meaning they are consulting the community on the matters that are related to the IGF program. And they have their own MAG meetings, which are open to the public, but of course they are, the focus is on the MAG members exchanging the ideas and knowledge about the organization of the annual meeting. After that, when the MAG agrees on what will be the nature of the program this year, then they start what we call the community intersessional work. So that is basically when all interested stakeholders, individuals and organizations, work on certain substantive topics within the IGF in order to have prepared tangible outcomes to be presented at the annual IGF meeting. And let me speak on the next slide briefly about what is the IGF community intersessional work, which I think is, first of all, of your direct interest, because that is the direct way and channel if you want to be engaged with the global IGF process as well. So there is something that we call the best practice forums. The best practice forums are basically the formations that are being approved by the MAG on a certain topic, where the stakeholders are invited to contribute to certain topics throughout the year and to develop a tangible outcome, usually a written analytical document that will be presented on the annual meeting. So I have listed a couple of past and this year's topics that are being developed under the best practice forums. So if you're interested in gender and access or cybersecurity or IPv6 or IC Speaks or local content, then I guess this is a very good way to learn a lot about these topics, but also to contribute with your ideas and with your knowledge to the work of it. How does it work in practice? In practice, it works that we have the open mailing list, so our details are on the IGF website. And every month, there are regular virtual meetings that are gathering a large number of people, stakeholders, experts from different organizations that are discussing these topics and trying to find a common ground and come up with a written output document. As I said at the beginning, the best practice forums, they depend on what the MAG will agree and what the MAG will find as of relevance for the community for this particular year to be discussed. But there are some things that are not directly depending on the MAG. So those are topics that are existing throughout the year. They are called the dynamic coalitions. So there are currently, I believe, 16 or 17 dynamic coalitions that are active. Those are formations on a substantive topic related to the internet governance that gather respectful organizations, individuals, experts in certain topics to discuss the issues and contribute and see what are the trends and what should be the potential policy solutions. So, for example, if you're interested in the Internet of Things, in child online safety, if you're interested in bringing the questions that are relevant for young people on internet governance, or in the issues that are in relation to the internet and climate change, blockchain technology, trade, freedom of expression, and many, many others, then you are more than welcome to join any of these DCs. All the details are on the website. So basically you just need to click 2 times and then you will be a member of that particular community of a particular dynamic coalition, and you can start working and learning. And finally, something that does depend on the MAG, and for the last 2 years it has shown to be a very good practice, that is the Connecting and Enabling the Next Billions, a project under the IGF, approved by the MAG, that is trying to map what are the issues and what are the potential policy solutions for solving the problem of connectivity for a couple of next billions, with the goal for everyone to have access to the internet. On the next slide, very briefly, a couple of photos. You can see how does the annual meeting of the Internet Governance Forum look like. So if you take participation at the IGF annual meeting, what you can expect is more than 200 sessions. You can meet more than 2,000 people. There's also one very interesting place, we are calling it the IGF Village. So those are basically the exhibition stands of several respective organizations. Last year in Mexico, at the annual meeting, we had around 40 organizations presenting their work. And that is a very, very good way to learn, first of all, what others are doing, and also to learn how to engage with others and to network. Something that is very, very important to the global IGF, that is not directly mandated by the Tunis agenda, which is the agenda from where the IGF stems its mandate, but it's been truly bottom up, is the existence of many national, regional, sub-regional IGFs, but also the so-called youth initiatives of the Internet Governance Forum. Sri Lanka is definitely one of them, and we have been in a very good communication for the past 2 years. And I have to say that the national IGFs, including yours, are critically important to the IGF as the bottom-up initiatives, as they are bringing the direct input from certain communities and telling us what is relevant from your communities. I think, yes, you can see probably the slide that currently there are around 55 countries across the world that are organizing regularly their national IGFs. There are 14 regions that are being covered by the IGFs. And I think around 15 countries are now in formation, meaning they're about to organize their IGFs. If you take a look at the world map, you can see that many countries and regions are discussing the internet governance, and there is a very good geographical distribution. And finally, for your interest, if you want to be part of the global IGF processes, what would be your path? So from our side, what we would say and advise is, first of all, to go and visit the IGF website. to take a look a bit on the activities that are happening within the IGF, as they are created by the community and they exist for the community. So you are more than welcome, and I would say needed, to the global IGF in order to have a successful program. It would be good if you could at the beginning identify or get to know your interest in internet governance, certain issues, and then follow your interest and try to find if there are colleagues that are sharing your interests, so you can engage with them and network. It would be good if you subscribe to the IGF mailing list. That's one of the quickest and most effective probably ways to stay informed, which is very important. You can, of course, always contact the IGF Secretariat. I work there as a focal point for the national and regional IGFs and their communities. So please do feel free to contact me. You can ask Harsha, he has my email address, and I would be very happy to hear from you. And I think the very first and most effective way is to engage with the national IGFs. You are very, very lucky that you have a very successful team within your country that is doing great things on internet governance, following the IGF principles of being, first of all, multi-stakeholder, bottom-up, which means that everything that they do for you and following your interests as they ask you, first of all, as the community. Open, inclusive, and non-commercial. That's the nature of the IGF itself, but also about of the NRIs, meaning the national and regional IGFs. I think that would be very, very briefly from me. I don't know how much time do we have, but I will stay here in case you would have any questions to ask me, and also any comments. I would be very, very happy to hear from you. Thank you very much also for having me once again. Really, it's a real pleasure.
Audience can answer questions.
Audience. So you have any questions? Do you have any questions for her? Yeah, you can ask in any language. Okay.
Thank you. So now we are moving to the next presentation regarding IG ecosystem. Kelvin, Wong from ICANN.
Hi everyone. Good morning, I guess. I'm Kelvin from ICANN, Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. Before I start, I'd just like to find out a few things. How many here are students or part-time students? Okay, and the rest, I suppose, are professionals, practitioners. How many of you are technical? More technical. Okay, I'm gonna ask technical, more civil society, more academia, or what else is there? Business, for example. So technical. Okay, academia, more like a professor or an assistant in the lab or something. Okay, media. Media, I think we have one. Yeah, I know. What else? Business. Okay, then what's the rest? What's the rest? Somewhere, a bit of everything. Okay, I just wanted to know the profile as well, and I wanted to um, get you guys involved. So at any time, if you have any questions, please ask me. I don't have all the answers, but I'll be happy to help you and point you to the right people. Maybe I'm following on very good presentations by Prof. Gihan, who has just left, on the internet governance, on multi-stakeholder. In fact, he's talked about everything that I wanted to talk, and even more. I love his chart and all the presentations, all the principles that he shared. So and also, of course, Mr. Harsha, who shared the very good internet history roundup, and avoiding touching on my part so that I have something to do today. All right. Without further ado, I'll just go on to introduce a bit more about ICANN. All right. So you heard a bit about ICANN, how it was born, 1998. All right. So ICANN is an not-for-profit organization based in the US. What we do is like to maintain the addressing system of the internet. Okay, computers talk to each other using IP addresses in a different way that humans talk to each other. Okay, so if you had to visit a website and all you have was to input a string of numbers, 198.168.8.0, for example, is going to be very, very tough. Okay, because we talk to each other using words, names, right? You want to go to somewhere like www.google.com, for example, right? So ICANN does that change at the back end in a way to maintain the system that does the change from IP addresses to numbers and vice versa, so that we can access the website that we want in a language that's familiar to us, rather than in a computer language. Okay, so very simply put, this is what ICANN does. Of course, it's not all we do. I'm going to explain a bit more. Now, there's a box there. It's working, but you can see ICANN is made of 3 very big components. All right, the community, the organization, and the board. All right, so community is everything that we talked about in terms of the makeup of that in the multi-stakeholder model. All right, if we can go on to the next one. Okay. Now, the community for ICANN is a volunteer-based community made up of different stakeholders that I'll show you in the next slide. Right? Now, they work together through a bottom-up process to form policies. So apart from the work that we do in maintaining the address book of the internet, we also do the policy making for the names and numbers. So I think Mr. Harsha talked about, well, he didn't talk about, he left it to me to talk about the GTLDs and the CCTLDs, which is the generic top-level domain name, and the country code top-level domain name. So these are the, country code, so it will be like .lk, right, for Sri Lanka. And of course, you'll be familiar with .com, .net, .org. These are the traditional 20 or so generic top-level domain name. We call them GTLDs. But we have rolled out, in fact, quite a few new GTLDs, we call them, which is you have your .shop, .bike, and internationalized domain names, which is it could be your a language that is not English, not ASCII, right? It could be Nihongo, for example, like Japanese. That's just an example, right? So you see that all these changes to the domain name actually requires a lot of coordination among different stakeholders. I think Professor Gihan talked about people with overlapping sort of interest and overlapping responsibilities. And this multi-stakeholder model, which I will talk about later in the afternoon, it's important because the legitimacy of this impacts the implementation, to quote the slide from Professor Gihan, right? So this is the stakeholder model, as in this is the community from ICANN that you can see. It's made up of, there's more structure to this. It's just it's not a loose structure of community, everybody coming into the room to just talk. Okay, there are fixed communities, structures, we call the supporting organizations, and also the advisory committees. I will not go into the details of that. That's out of the scope of today's presentation. So you can go on to the next slide. I talked a little bit about this. So there are different types of stakeholders in the ICANN community. Right, if you can see, maybe it's a bit small, we have the country code name supporting organization. So these people will discuss policies pertaining to the country code. And the generic names supporting organizations, these people will talk about things, policy pertaining to the generic names, the GTLDs. Of course, then we have the rest, which I will not talk about in detail, but if you look at the Government Advisory Committee, which is where the governments come in and talk on the same level as everybody. All right, and the at-large advisory committee, the committee that I work quite closely with, it's for end users, academia, for people perhaps like yourself who belongs to an organization, but you may not be part of government, of course. You may not be too technical involved in the root server advisory committee, but you are just a member of the public, somebody who is interested to know what's happening in the domain name sphere. So you could technically join the at-large advisory committee. Under the at-large advisory committee, there is the regional organization that has avenues for you to join as an ALS, okay, which is an at-large structure. Okay, so that's where I'm trying to break it down for you to see how you can join ICANN's community. Okay, next slide, please. I'll talk a bit more about the multi-stakeholder model in my next presentation, actually. So this is the whole community. This is really very busy slide, but it tells you that whether you are the government, you're tech, you're a domain name business, you're civil society, you have a place in the table in ICANN meeting. Now, when I talk about ICANN meetings, I think just now you heard about the introduction of IGF and how IGF meetings, they have 200 plus meetings, attended by 200,000 people. Now, 2,000 people. So ICANN meeting is similar in scale. Now that I see it, it's three times a year, and it rotates itself in different continents. The idea is that we shouldn't hold it in a particular continent. It should be we should make ICANN meetings accessible, and of course, it's free. Anybody can just walk into an ICANN meeting, and usually the meetings are open, so you can just walk in. Of course, it's good to be in a working group so that you can provide input directly. But otherwise, it's free. You can go in. The last time came to Asia Pacific was in last year, November, when it was in India. Okay, it was not in Delhi. It was in Hyderabad. So it need not be in the capital city, but it could be in other places, so that we can maximize the participation. Right, this in the name of inclusiveness and transparency. Okay, and now there are avenues for people to take part in our ICANN meetings. So you have fellowships, which I will tell you where the link is in the later slide. There are also capacity building programs for youth like yourself. If you are interested in how ICANN works, how the rest of the internet ecosystem works, you can feel free to apply and be part of an ICANN meeting, or be part of a 5-day course, for example, on internet governance, and with all expenses paid. I will also touch on that in one later slide. You can go on to the next one. So this is the other part of ICANN, which is the board. Okay, the board is made of representatives selected by peers, and they represent interests of the different groups. They provide strategic oversight and also approves the policy that is surfaced by the community, the people that I talked about just now. Okay, next. Thanks. It's a bit tricky to do this. Yes, up. Okay, ICANN organization. Last but not least, ICANN organization. Myself, I'm part of ICANN organization, and I'm ICANN staff. Okay, we have people in 40 different countries. All right, and we have we focus on resourcing, on policy development, support, management, and to manage the meetings, for example. All right, and of course there are people like me in outreach who goes out to tell people what ICANN is about and tell you how you can be part of ICANN's community. All right. One thing that I would like to highlight also is that part of this ICANN organization, we have a hub, an APAC hub that is based in Singapore. Okay, I'm from the APAC hub, and in the APAC hub, we have a different units that's based there. Okay, the Global Stakeholder Engagement Team, the Global Support Center, for example, the registrar, which I will not go into because it's going to get too complicated. So the APAC hub looks after the affairs of the Asia Pacific, and we work closely with our partners, okay, to roll out programs. So I look after capacity building programs and talking to youth, like the here, and also as it relates to IGF, for example. So which is why I'm here. Okay, so I work very closely with our partners to roll out programs that builds capacity in people who have interest in ICANN or who may not even know about ICANN in the first place. Okay, next slide. So this is the, I should have referred to this slide. So this is the ICANN hub. Very quickly, I went through some of these functions, but these are the people in the APAC hub. You might know Champika. I don't know. How many people knows Champika? Okay, you see. So people know the joke in our hub or within ICANN is that the people hear about Champika first before they hear about ICANN. Okay, he is like the face of for us. Okay, in the technical building. So he's somewhere inside. If you can identify him. One of the functions that we do, of course, is technical capacity building, building up, talking to in fact, not just talking to, but training network operators on securing their networks. That's the technical capacity building side. The other side is, of course, people like me who go out to reach out to you and plan programs for you to build up your capacity in the internet governance. All right, next. I will, in the interest of time, I think I'll skip this one. Well, since this topic is really about internet ecosystem, I think Professor Gihan has done a very good job. So I hope I've given you a sort of an idea about what ICANN does in the first place. But I also wanted to tell you that, of course, the internet is a network of networks, and it's really like all the esteemed speakers before me, they've talked about the different organizations that come together, be it technical organizations, be it resource management organizations, be it network operators, be it people, academia, and people like you. We make up this part of the ecosystem, right? And together we make it a single, one stable and secure one world, one internet. That's what I can call it. Okay, next slide, please. Well, ICANN works with technical organizations, as you can see. I'm sorry, it's a bit small. The domain name system operators, group server operators, the IETF, which is the Internet Engineering Task Force. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on how, because you have heard about how important everybody comes together and how everybody needs to come together to make the internet safe and secure. But exactly what do we do? I'm going to give you some examples. Next one. Before that, this is also another schematic of the non-technical partners that we work with. You can see the Internet Society, you can see the Regional Internet Governance Forum, which I will touch on as well. Yeah, next slide, please. Okay, so just to give you an idea on what actually I do, at least, because this is my pet interest. Okay, the main thing that I do in ICANN, right? So it's really to work with partners on community engagement. All right, you see the first slide here. It's a capacity building program much like this in the regional IGF. Okay, the APRIGF, Asia Pacific Regional IGF. The next one, it happens every year. The next one is going to be held in Bangkok, end of July, right? So ICANN features in this APRIGF. We work with our partner to, one of the things that we do is to help roll out a capacity building program. Sorry, I keep talking about this capacity building program, but capacity development. But what exactly? It's like a school where the different stakeholders, the different partners come in to talk about themselves. We could talk about ICANN, we could talk about Asia Pacific Network Information Center, about network infrastructure. We can talk about the things that you've heard today as well, which is the internet governance, history, the background, and also we can talk about emerging issues. Last year, I think we talked a little bit about the Uberization of all this of services around us, right? So emerging topics are things that we do cover as well. So that was the APRIGF, Asia Pacific Regional IGF. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast. That's because we have a time constraint. But please feel free to stop me and ask me any questions. I should have said this at the start. Is it okay? Okay, if you have any questions about this particular program or this particular term that you have something? Yeah, sure.
Mr. Kelvin, I'm Ms. Rikas. I want to ask you a question about the deep web or .onion domains. It is work with icon or not, or how it is work with the Tor browser and why it does not work with other browsers. I don't know about that. Can you explain me this?
Well, the simple answer is I can't explain that. Okay, no. Well, the reason why we wanted to get everybody in the same table, get down to form communities and get everybody down to an ICANN meeting or to be familiar with the things that we do in internet governance space is so that we don't have people who break away and form their own communities that they cannot be accessed by other people. Right? I'll stop there. I think there are more experts in this room than I myself is, so I'll stop there. But I think it's important that we keep one internet and not let it be fragmented by different parties. I don't know if there's anybody who wants to add anything. If not, we leave it to later. Okay, sure. No. Yes, we can discuss this after this presentation. We're going to have sort of a. All right. So I'll move on because I have a few more pictures that I wanted to really tell you what it is all about. On the right side, you can see a small people wearing blue shirts. This is the Asia Pacific Internet Governance Academy that we also roll out working with our partners. Right. So it is an 5-day academy for youths like yourself. Right, to come in, it's a program based in that is based in Seoul for you to come in and immerse yourself into a discussion on internet governance as well as on ICANN. So again, the topics would be like on network infrastructure, basic addressing fundamentals, and also on internet governance topics and emerging topics related to internet governance. So this is open for application, all expenses paid in a way, lodging and food. No, sorry, not lodging. I'm talking about flight and accommodation.
So about the darknet.
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I think as a person, I'm giving my comments. Right, in the society now, in the normal society, forget about the internet. There are good people and bad people, right? Can you eliminate the bad? You cannot. Anyway, they will be there from the beginning of the humankind. So the internet, you are a person on the internet, then that is a different world, right? That is a cyber world. It's another world. There are good and bad people. So in this real world, the normal society, you have the police, the legislative, whatever the laws to control that. So in the internet also, there are some rules, laws, norms, and norms, especially norms, to how as to how you should behave in the internet. So in some countries there are laws. If you do a bad thing, you get caught. And in Sri Lanka also there is a procedure. You can go to courts if somebody is putting wrong information about you. You can go to courts, but that's a lengthy procedure, of course. It's a different world, right? Normal society and the cyber society. So you cannot get rid of them.
Yeah, it's basically somebody would ask what the dark web is and or the deep web. The dark web is actually what the Tor is a application that used for to access through like a kind of like a proxy based. It's a kind of like a proxy. If you go to Tor, you will see that Tor. So just go there and see it. But the dark web or deep web actually is encrypted and usually accessed through the Tors. So this is like especially that I think you would have seen this ransomware now came recently. You know, like last Friday, the whole internet came to a standstill, right? So they would collect money through the bitcoins. You know, that kind of stuff is happening there. So even in our web, in our Sri Lankan jurisdiction, there's some part of jurisdiction in Sri Lanka. I mean, you can't say jurisdiction, but there is in our internet also, there is a slow noise of hackers operating within our space also. So I don't know. I have never seen something dark web in Sri Lanka, but anyway, I don't know whether you know that. Do we have any? Huh? Even it's not limited to Tor also.
I mean, Tor is just one small part. Many people use dark web that have never used Tor. So, this is just like, you know, you don't have to have the internet. Anywhere you go, you find a group of people who are doing private discussions outside which other people cannot access. So it's basically that's the type of thing. You have some part of the internet which is not available for everybody. And there's not necessarily people doing bad things. Maybe they just want to have some private discussion. It doesn't mean that they're doing bad things.
So since I don't have the mic, I'll take this. No, but thanks for the question. You see, by asking some questions, you generate a discussion, and this is what I think a school of internet governance needs to have some discussion, right? Okay. Very quickly, I will go on to the picture at the bottom. I'm giving you some examples. Hopefully, you can see what are some of the things that we do on the ground instead of just making presentations like this. At the bottom is Champika's effort. Okay, he worked closely with, this is an example where he worked closely with the Vietnam Network Information Center, okay, VNIC, to roll out a workshop on the DNSSEC, DNS Security Extension workshop for network operators. Okay, this is just an example. Can we go down? Two more examples, and I think I'm done to give you what partners in an internet ecosystem does. If we can go on to the next one. So this is an example of ICANN readout, which we partner with the government. Depending on your economy, it could be the government organization, it could be a network information center, and it's something that, if interested, we hope to replicate in different countries, even in Sri Lanka. So what is it? It is a readout or debriefing session to share about the outcomes of the last ICANN meeting. Well, of course, I'm talking about ICANN meeting. It doesn't have to be an ICANN meeting. It could be about an IGF, for example. So what this readout is all about is that, not everybody gets the chance to go to an ICANN meeting or an IGF meeting. So what some of these organizations within the local context has done is to go and bring back the information and debrief the wider community. Okay, have a session like this, and said, I went to ICANN meeting, ICANN 58 in Copenhagen, which took place in March. And I heard about this, and these are some of the latest updates in terms of domain name policy. And these are some of the updates in terms of capacity building for government, for example. Right? Or I went to IGF Mexico, and these are some of the key things that I want to bring it back to you. You can speak about it, you can talk about it in the local language, and you can spread the news through local channels, for example. So this is something that ICANN has started to do in different countries. The top picture that you see is with China. The one below is Japan. Japan has has this amazing community that has, of their own accord, started to do such a debriefing session, and ICANN has come in to help as well. So this is something that I like to emphasize to everyone here, that is something that we can think about doing to help the local community build up its awareness and understanding about internet governance issues. And that brings me to the end. I think we have some discussion with what time is remaining? 5 minutes? Yeah, so questions and discussions, please.
Yeah. So I will. So are there any questions so that we can? The whole panel is here, so we can discuss it. I'll give the Professor Gihan.
නෑ මං හිතන්නේ අපි මෙතන ඉඳන් පඬිතුකම් කතා කරන එකේ තේරුමක් නෑ. මෙතනට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ මොන හරි දෙයක් ගැන. ඉතින් මට ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයගලන්ට අදහස් තියෙනවා නම් ඒව ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න පුළුවන්. So if you have a question you can ask, or if you have your ideas, please present your ideas. Just because we have, less hair doesn't mean we have better ideas than you have.
Hi, I'm sorry I wasn't here earlier. I was next door at the accessibility. So perhaps this was already discussed, but would someone mind defining cybersecurity and safer internet? Perhaps that was done for the benefit of me. I'd appreciate it.
I'm not sure about the board and says that. We have an IG topic on this. Right. Okay. It just says that we have not looking at history and not specifically outside.
Okay.
We should talk about it, but I think that it's better than would you mind if I do it back to the board? Anybody else?
So are there any other questions on that? So we can.
So very quickly to answer Dominic's question. Well, from ICANN's perspective, I've shared a bit about some of the technical capacity building that we have done with different network operators. So one of these would be to secure the network and increase the capability to react to attacks such as, for example, DDoS attacks and other such attacks on the network. So security. So cybersecurity in one aspect would be to build up the capability to first strengthen the network such so that you are not so susceptible to these attacks, and also to see what you can do in reaction to this. So a very personal take for me.
Yeah. At the same time, I think since last Friday, I'm getting so many calls about this ransomware. So one of the major things that's going on right now. So if you're connected to the internet and you get malicious attack or without your knowing, so that's where the security comes. I mean, the security is so important for you to conduct your business on the internet. So it has to be part of this ecosystem. So there are organizations that are involved with the cybersecurity aspects of it, and I think IGF is doing that. There are so many other organizations. And One of the things I think I was yesterday when I was actually at Peradeniya University of Peradeniya, on my way there, I got a call from local TV station and asking for me to give something about this ransomware, what's going to happen and how does it affect Sri Lanka. But so the simple basic rule is you update your Windows. So that's the only thing. I mean, a lot of people forget to update. So strengthening your there are organizations will tell you to do, and especially the local certs are doing that. The certs will tell you like, okay, you have to update this. So we have to update and get our security up. Other thing that I think this deep web, I think a lot of people have a curiosity, right? I mean, that's maybe why that you have asked that question. What I was just going to say is, somewhere in 2014, and I had just look at internet traffic in Sri Lanka. There's about 1 to 2% because of there were several attacks that we had that during that period of time. There's about always you have some background noise. There are a lot of these activities going on right now. So therefore, the cybersecurity is a very important aspect of the internet.
Okay. Do you have a question? I'm not sure what the question is. Yeah, I think there's a separate session.
Cybersecurity and safe internet is one of the two main themes in the main conference. Then there will be separate panels and experts speaking about these topics in the main event on the 18th.
Tomorrow morning there will be a session on safer internet best practice forum. Tulip
දන්නේ මේ සිංහලෙන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇහුවත් තමයි හොඳ. මම දැන් මෙතන එක එක જાතිය කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා. මම දැන් මෙතන ඉන්න හැමෝම අන්තර්ජාලය පාවිච්චි කරනවා කියලා මම හිතනවා. ඒ වගේම මම දන්නවා මෙතන සමහර අය ගොඩක් එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් තියෙනවා. සමහර අය සමහරවිට ටිකක් අලුත් ඇති. ඉතින් මම හිතන්නේ මෙතන උදේ කියපු දේවල් ඔක්කොම ටික ආවහම ටිකක් වචන ගොඩාක් එනවා. There's a lot of words and මොකද්ද මේ කියලා හිතාගන්න බෑ. ඉතින් බය වෙන්න එපා මොඩ ප්‍රශ්නයක් කියලා. මොඩ ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහමුද මුලින්ම? ඒකත් හොඳයි. ඒකට මොඩ ප්‍රශ්නේ දැන් ඉවර කරනාට පස්සේ හිනා වෙන්නේ නැහැ මොන. ඉතින් ඇත්තටම මොකක් හරි දන්නේ නැත්නම් ෂුවර් නැත්නම් අහන්න මොකෝ මේ මම දන්නවා ඩෙෆිනිට්ලි මමත් මෙතන අහන් හිටියා වචන ගොඩාක් ඇහුණා. හුඟක් වෙලාවට අමාරු වේ වචන ටික ඔක්කොම තේරුම් ගන්න. මොඩ ප්‍රශ්නේ හොයි කියලා. Don't be scared to ask what might be. Somebody might think it's a stupid question, but we won't. Don't worry.
I want to tell one thing that's a secret. And a couple of years ago, I'm a web developer, and I'm testing my websites before launching that. I'm a very beginning period of the cybersecurity. So when I was tested my websites, I'm passing some DOS attacks to my own websites to test it out. And at the same time, I was also, my mind saying, can you down the government servers? It is possible. So let me pass some DOS. It is through my mobile. It is possible to down the servers. I passed some little bit of DOS attacks, not DDoS, DOS attacks to the SchoolNet. I think it's SchoolNet. It's within 2 seconds it completely shut down. I can't imagine that it's possible. So I just stopped that within 5 minutes because my desire is not going to down the government. So is government servers is still secure, or when people's checking oil results or AL results or government results, for a couple of years ago, the server will be overflow and doesn't work. But today it's working fine. I checked that it's a server from Dialog. It's looking good. My question is is government server is still secure? That's my question. Thank you, sir.
So let me answer that. Yeah, I will be very honest with you. There are many websites in Sri Lanka, government and private and various things, which have, I would say, no security. But as you said, you can bring it down in 2 seconds. Now, is that a good thing? No, right? So it's not only government servers. I can show you many others. And is Sri Lanka unique? No. I mean, there are many countries, including all the big countries we can think of. So this recent Bonacry attack, which brought down thousands of servers in many countries, that could have been, well, not 100% stopped, but reduced by a huge amount by just a few simple things, which they have not done. So yes, many government servers are not secure, and I will tell you why. There are a lot of people who believe that what they have done is what they have done and don't want to listen to anybody else. So even if you tell them, so recently we ran a competition called Best Web. I suppose many of you may have heard of that, to identify good websites, and we had a award ceremony and so on. So as part of that, all the competitors, we check their security. And if they fail the security check, we inform them, okay, your site is failing this basic security check, right? Please correct it, because otherwise, obviously, we cannot enter you into this competition and call it a best website if it doesn't have basic security. Couple of people, their response was, why are you bothering me? Go away, right? I'm not going to change anything. It's strange. I mean, they think they want to get an award, and then when you tell them they don't have security, they just say we don't want to be bothered. So there is a lot of people who really don't understand what is security. So you're perfectly correct. I'm sure that even today, within few minutes, you can find a sites that you can break into or disable or whatever in seconds.
I want to comment on that. I was once responsible for some of the government sites. One of the issues I think is it's very hard to because there are lots of sites up there, and they are in a different levels of security. That's the issue that we have, and keeping up the security is also very hard, because every day you have to check it. You have to check and make sure, because there can be vulnerabilities every time that, I mean, once a week, when I was running some of the major sites, and I used to run tests every day, and also to figure it out whether the patches have been applied. And so you have to keep up with it. So that doesn't happen. So we had two attacks when I was at the TRC. There was one attack was in 15th of April 2014. That was one of the major attacks. And during that period of time, I remember I found majority of the sites were down. That because the administrators had not applied the patches, right? So it's very common. You can find now, even if you go there and scan, you will find sites that have not been updated, right? So that's the issue. But the other thing is, also now we have the laws in the country. So if you basically hack a site, whether even if you have done it for fun, then if you get caught, then you will be also sent to jail. So there is an issue like that, right? Remember, there were some issues in the past also. So we have to be so these are the two things. So we have to make sure that things are updated. But at the same time, I think we also to be a responsible citizen. So what we can do is we have to tell them that there is an issue like that, please update. They may listen to you or they may not listen. They may do it. Second ones, I think I can ask you a question. මට ඔයගලන්ට ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. දැන් අපි අද දවසම කතා කළා ඉන්ටර්නෙට් අන්තර්ජාල ගවර්නන්ස් ගැන. ඕගොල්ලෝ අපෙන් දැන් මම වාගෙන් ළඟ අහනවා ඔගොල්ලෝ හිතුවද ලංකාවේ අන්තර්ජාල ගවර්නන්ස් ගැන ඔගොල්ලෝ මේ අද මම හිතන්නේ ඔගොල්ලෝ හිතන්නේ නැතිනේ. ඒක ගැන මොන හරි ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද මම හිතන්නේ ඒක අහලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ මොන වගේ තීරණයක්ද ගත්තේ කියන එක මට ටිකක් මට ආසයි දැනගන්න ඇත්තටම. හරි කමෙන්ට් එකක් තියෙනවා නම් කමෙන්ට් කරන්න. මොකද මම හිතන්නේ ගා දුරට අපි ඉන්ටර්නෙට් ගවර්නන්ස් ගැන කතා කරනවා කියලා ලංකාවේ අපි ගොඩක් පැසිව්. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අපි ඒක ගැන හිතන්නේ අපිට කන්ට්‍රිබියුට් කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. right ඒක මම හිතන්නේ මට අහන්න ආසයි.
How easy or difficult, as it were, to implement e-governance at the grassroots level in this country?
Difficult.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I have been doing e-governance for the last 20 odd years in Sri Lanka. It's one of the hardest things, I think. Primarily because of the fact, I think some of the applications that we have come. If you look at what we have done since, what I know is since 1996, and some of the things that we had done in early 90s. Then in the 2000, we have the ICTA implementation, e-governance. And it's a very difficult, some of these applications, because Sri Lanka has there are a couple of problems. I will basically, one of the things is we live in a silos. We try to partition ourselves. We don't like to go across, right? That's the one issue. The second issue is the continuity issue. Now, fortunately, there are a couple of e-governance applications that we have done, like birth, marriage, death issuance system that the University of Colombo had done, that had gone throughout the country. And because of the fact that we provide some sort of we are actually subsidizing and continuing that, and it's still there. So likewise, we have done several other software applications. What I have seen is some of them, there is no continuity. When a new person comes, they stop that and they continue with another one. So I have seen several projects like that. There are a lot of project failures.
By new person, do you mean a new government?
I don't know. I'm talking about not the new government. I'm talking about the new, even a head of when there is a one head leaves and the other head takes over. So they normally they don't like to continue with whatever they have done. So this is Sri Lankan. I think all over the world it's like that. But what I have seen in Sri Lanka, it's very sort of, it comes to surface a lot. Another application which I have done, I never thought would be really a big hit, was this. The automated fingerprint identification system we have done for the police. Now there, what I saw was the people who are running is actually the lower level police officers. Because they need it, it had survived. And even now, I had to deal with some administration issues for the last week. There were some issues that crop up. So these are the problems. So the continuity is a problem in Sri Lanka. And other thing is all the interoperability also. So the various projects have come and gone. And I think we still have not learned how to continue. That's where the issue is with the e-governance in Sri Lanka.
From the point of view of the public, do you think there's a resistance from people to go digital?
A resistance to?
For example, the national IDs, digitization of national IDs, for example?
I don't think so. I don't think people are resistant to e-governance. The only issue... Two different things, yeah.
Right.
Is it internet government? I talk about
So I would like to clarify that we should probably stick to governance of the internet, which is how the internet is governed, right? As opposed to using the internet for government things, which is a completely different thing. Yeah, I think we should try to distinguish between those two. I mean, that's a very interesting topic, and Harsha has done a lot of work in that area, and there's a lot of resistance. Anyway, let me try to answer what you said. Do people resist? No, I think Sri Lanka, what I have noticed for many years, is that when something new comes, people are very quick to adopt it. For example, if you take things like mobile phones, as soon as they came, of course, when they came, they were very expensive and we couldn't afford it. But as soon as the price dropped to some reasonable amount, everybody had one. Whereas if you go to some other countries, they said, why do I need a mobile phone? I have a nice phone at home. I have another phone in the office. That's good enough for me. They didn't want to use a mobile phone. Only now they are using it, only like a few years ago. Even things like Facebook or things like that, people just started using. In fact, sometimes it's dangerous because without thinking, they start using new technologies without understanding what their effects. So my personal feeling is that here in Sri Lanka, we really like to use new technologies. But others, people are still worried. For example, e-commerce, right? E-commerce has not become, well, it is catching up. You can see it happening, but gradually, right? It's not like, because people are scared of their money, right? I mean, it's like sort of taking your money and keeping it somewhere where you can't see it. And then, what happens if it suddenly disappears? People are always worried. So in fact, I have been talking to some banks and saying, can you make sure that there's only a very small amount of money which is available uh, on this internet e-transactions and so on. Because if I have, if I have my savings, I put all my savings in the bank and I think, okay, that's very safe there. And suddenly somebody steals it using some internet something, right? I'm going to be in big trouble. But if it is like few thousand rupees, I might not mind. So like that, I think we have to look at why people are not doing certain things and why people are doing certain other things. I believe it's not everything. Some things people are reluctant, some things people are very keen.
Can I interject on? There were a couple of experiments that we did somewhere in 2004, 2005 with Sarvodaya. So we have done some work with Sarvodaya on a virtual village. We call it a virtual village. My view is our people are very open and they tend to accept technology very fast. But at the same time, we have a certain culture preferences. Now, if you take Indian concept of what the applications they have rolled out through using internet, if you bring it to like telecenter operations in Sri Lanka, it doesn't work in Sri Lanka. We have done so many experiments, and all of them have come negative. And especially because like the medical, let's say, people like to do e-channeling, right? I mean, they go and now they do it very fast. I mean, they will go and, but if you ask them to go and see a doctor online, right? Most likely in somewhere in the Colombo area, they may not do it. They would rather go and see the doctor in person. So the India, because you can't find doctors for miles and miles away, right? In Sri Lanka, it's just a matter of getting on into a bus and going to and see the doctor. So that's what we found out. Some of those applications, but whatever you ask about, that people are very open. But they are also like to have face-to-face. Sometimes much better to have face-to-face communication in Sri Lanka. So there some of these are right. It's like a sort of kind of a very very interesting. We have written a couple of papers on that anyway. So it's.
Hello, I am Azahim, one of the entrepreneur related to web product and service provider. I have one question. It means nowadays the cloud application and IoT, something like that, developing our Sri Lankan peoples also. So what are the arrangement we have, the security arrangement we have for the future? Such this type of product we want to launch with confidence, we need some arrangements, cyber security arrangement. So what are the arrangement exist now? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, so if I understand the question, your company or whatever wants to launch a new product, some kind of cloud product, and you are looking at security, right? So basically, if you are putting out a product, then you should design it and build it in a secure manner and get it tested. So there are companies, we also have company, but there are others also, which will check any software and tell you, okay, we have tested it, and of course we can't give a 100% guarantee, but we have done the basic tests. Also, when you keep it, you have to use basic firewalls and all those security defenses in front of your application. So today, just running something without firewall setup and all that is basically guaranteed that somebody will come and probably hack you. So either you can do it yourself, or you can go to a service provider who will provide those features. Obviously, they might charge for it, but they will provide some features. One thing to remember is that on the internet there is many people, and some of them are very bad people, right? And they will come and try to do various things, maybe just for fun, or they will want to basically do something and ask you for money to remove it or something like that. Or maybe there is a competitor who wants to break you so that some other site will look better, right? So you have to remember these are bad people there, and the only way is you have to protect yourself. Obviously you can go to the police or something, but on the internet it's very difficult to find out who has done something. Something happens to your site, it can come from Ukraine or Uzbekistan or somewhere like that. You don't know where it is from, and you can't catch them, right? If somebody from Uzbekistan comes and hacks into your site, what are you going to do? You are going to tell the police in Uzbekistan. I mean, they won't do anything, right? So it's up to you to protect yourself.
I think you ask about Internet of Things. I guess that's one of the key things that's going on right now. There are multi-billion-dollar industries waiting to be grabbed. Internet of Things, the security is a very still it's a nascent. There are a lot of there are frameworks are being right now built on the IoTs, where the security aspects. So something that's still coming up, because as you know, there's a lot of big data going to be there, and a lot of the device-to-device communications, and also these are depending upon sometimes even the vehicles right now connected with these devices. So so the security is not only through the internet; it's a real security is there. In the sense, like now there are some devices that I can put it into the to a vehicle where I can stop the vehicle on as it moving. Also, I can cut off the engine even. So that kind of security is a major issue, and that area is very nascent. These frameworks are right now coming up, so you have to keep up with what is actually happening right there. So so we don't know what will transform at the end of the day, but it's a fantastic area to get in, and I will tell you that that's a really beautiful area, and I think it's a great area to be in right now.
I don't know how relevant this is to this topic, but just interested in your thoughts in certain companies being hired in the UK and the US to basically rig the election and the Brexit vote by influencing voters through social media and through fake news and things like that. And how likely is that scenario to be replicated in this country? Maybe not now, maybe a few years down the line.
Okay, so people have been employing companies to do things on social media for a long time. Maybe not. I think political parties have also used it quite well, even in Sri Lanka, and just normal commercial companies who want their product to be sold. I know a couple of guys who are doing that as a business, so they will come to a company and work with them to improve their image on social media and so on. So it's a well-known thing. I don't think it's new to Sri Lanka. Obviously, people don't make a huge noise about it and do it. It looks like as if people are sending tweets. I mean, there are many tweets which are sent by various people, although they look like they're coming from many different people. So that's happening, and I don't think it's something which hasn't happened in Sri Lanka. It has definitely happened. Yeah, no, but again, Brexit. No, there is some story that there has been companies or somebody being paid to influence it. Maybe, right? I'm not. Maybe I would be. I would be not at all surprised. Yeah. So whether MI6 is involved or not, we don't know. But whether people have. I mean, this is not new. When newspapers started, various people bought newspapers like Mr. D.R. Wijewardane because they wanted to influence political opinion in Sri Lanka. No question about it.
You can use it for in terms of it. So my view is this: as we get when we grow up with the internet, we are still in the infancy, and especially in Sri Lanka, we are just getting it. So I think as we grow, we will learn what is right and what is wrong, and what is true and what is false. And also, we also have to, the idea of politics is it has been there since the Greeks also, to convince what you think is right. So you can use it. Earlier, the oratory was used, and go and making public speeches, and then you write. And so then the advertisements. I mean, the American elections are totally with a lot of advertisements. Who has a lot of money? So I think, in terms of the wherever you go, it's not in Sri Lanka. I think what you can influence, right? So internet is one of the medium, one of the one of the tools that can be used for that. The only thing is, internet can do better than any of the newspapers. All things amalgamated, internet can do all of that together. So that's where I think that's why it has become so influential. But people will learn, people will grow with it, and they will grow up. They will realize what I mean. There is a sense will be built on. So I think that will happen eventually. Well, the hacking and all that stuff is a different thing. That's something that something which is now there's the American election and the Russians.
Hi, I'm Yohani. I have a question related to this governance forum. As a participants, what should be our role in a governance forum, and are we going to take decisions here? And then, if we can take decisions, do we have authority to implement those things by discussing here? That is my question. Thank you.
So I don't know, Maheshwara is the organizer. He can also talk. Let me clearly say, there are two things happening today and tomorrow. We have the School of Internet Governance, a training program, right? So we can discuss, we can talk, but it's a training program. Then on Thursday, we have the Internet Governance Forum. Again, look at the name, forum. It is a place where people talk. කතිකාව governance කියන එකට වචනේ දාම දන්නේ නැහැ නේ. හරියට කතිකාව කියන එකට අපි දැන් වචනේ දන්නවා, governance කියන එක වචනේ දන්නේ නැත්තේ. right. right. එහෙම හිතමුකෝ. මේ right. එතකොට මේ forum කියන්නේ අපි කතා කරනවා අපි ඇතර. So we just talk, we discuss. Now within a forum we can pass a resolution or we can come to some kind of decision. But that is only within ourselves. Now, as I said earlier, internet governance is a multi-stakeholder issue, and there are many stakeholders. So, if, for example, we are looking at, let's say we would like to have faster internet. Yeah, we decide we want to have faster internet. Okay, I mean, just because we say we like to have faster internet does not happen. So one thing we could say is, okay, what is preventing telecom companies from giving faster internet, right? And then, for example, if you go to a company, they might say, oh, or cheap internet. Or the government is charging 20% telecom levy and 15% VAT and various things. There's a lot of tax, right? I think when you pay your whatever internet or whatever, a lot of it is actually going as tax. So can we ask the government to reduce it? We can do various things. We can talk to the government. We can talk to the providers. We can do our own education. So definitely, if you think one of the things people are, so Sachin is somewhere around. We were looking at cyber safety, that people are not feeling safe on the internet. Now, what can we do? Well, one thing is we can educate users. So we can decide, okay, we are going to run education. Sachin has been doing that for a while, and several other people also. So we can do things. We don't have to, for every single thing, expect the government to do it. Often people think that the correct thing is you discuss, you say you want something, and then you make a noise saying government should do that. Well, sometimes that is correct, but sometimes government does so many things, they won't do what you want necessarily. But if you feel that cyber safety is important, educate people about cyber safety. If you feel your website should be secure, have programs where somebody can look at your website and certify, okay, this website is secure. If you think that we need more local content in Sinhala, which myself, Harsha, and so on have been working on for many years, sit and develop, put something in Wikipedia. Simple as that, right? Sinhala onna Wikipedia එක කාගෙන්වත් අහන්න ඕනේ, තඩස් කාලා ගිහිල්ලා Wikipedia එකේ page එක ලියන්න සිංහලෙන්. Right? දවසෙන් කරන්න පුළුවන්. කවුරුත් නවත්තන්නේ නැහැ ආව. Right? So ගොඩක් දේවල් තියෙනවා අපිට තනියම කරන්න. Lot of things we can do by ourselves or in some small group of people. Right? And so the Internet Society Sri Lanka chapter, which is organizing basically the principal organizer of this forum, will always be ready to help. But there are also other places which you can get funding and so on. Internet Society itself has funding for these things. So things can be done. Other things, of course, we have to wait for the people to do it. So getting back to your question, yes, we can take decisions, but that decisions, somebody has to act on them. Government, just because you take a decision at a IGF, government is probably not going to take much notice. But if you and 3 other people get together and say, we want to do this and go ahead and do it, so much the better. Right? And if you need any funding, talk to many of us here. We can sort of point you at correct directions where you want to get funding. Engagement, you have to, if you feel something should be done, you should do it. If you just wait for somebody else to do it, possibly it won't get done.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I think to round up the session, I know we are running out of time, so I'll be quick. So exactly, everybody here should be thinking of what you want to get out of this session, and one of the things that you can do, which is one of the reasons why I'm here as well, really, is to see who are the people that I can talk to. Right, so by being here, you already know, okay, roughly, okay, well, this guy is interesting, and he talks to some certain topics, to certain issues that I'm interested in. So maybe I would like to talk to him further, and maybe I'd like to join this platform or that platform, and I want to talk to this guy so that he can introduce me to other people, or so that I could go to this platform. So if you're interested in what ICANN does, or if you think some of the things that we say, later in the afternoon, I will share more things as well. If it appeals to you, come and talk to me, and then I'll point you to the right direction. You could. I'll give you an example of one of these students that we had arising from one of this a similar academy. So this guy is a normal student like you. He attended our course, and then he went on to be interested in the regional platform, the regional Asia Pacific regional IGF. So he became one of the multi-stakeholder members. To also contribute his views on the regional platform, and then he went on to become a member in a working group in ICANN, contributing to a specific policy that he was interested in, and he's still a postgrad student, right? So you could see the maybe the opportunities for him when he goes to his company. He could influence his management to say that, hey guys, you should take a look at this kind of internet governance platform. We should have a presence here because they are talking about issues that is strategic, that can determine the direction of security or whatever. You know, so your job here is to look for this kind of, I wouldn't say your job here, but one of the things that you should look out for is to look out for this kind of channels and opportunities, and also try to just absorb it all and make friends, I guess. Yeah.
I would like to add something to what the panel was saying now. Internet governance, the governance word, don't mix it up with government. E-governance is a different thing. Internet governance is a multi-stakeholder process. Multi-stakeholder කියන්නේ හැම දෙනාම students ලාද business කරන අයද technology ඔය internet එක ගැන දන්න කට්ටියද developers ලාද business කරන අයද media ද හැමෝම internet එක පාවිච්චි කරන අයත් internet එක කරන අයත් all the people who are developing the internet, all the people, software people and the business people, හැමෝම එකතු වෙලා. So we have to take the governance forum is for you to learn how the internet is operating and being governed, and then you can create your own pressure groups within the ISOC, within the IGF. You can create your own governance, the pressure groups to influence the government or influence ICANN policies or internet policies, influence them. You can create your own pressure groups, and then ISOC will also help to direct that pressure to the relevant authorities. But we cannot make firm decisions that we are going to change this like this. We can influence by learning how to govern, how to influence. That is the process here. So we are not going to take decisions like you have to change the tax. The government has to change the tax to 20%. We cannot take that decision, but we can influence, because on the 18th there will be so many government people present. The minister will be there, some secretaries will be there, some key people will be there. So we can show our voice, right, to them and make an influence. Maybe they will think twice next time when they revise the policies, right? And people like internet governing bodies like ICANN can internet number authorities, they have their own policies. We can as a group see what their policies are, how they are creating policies, and say, okay, Sri Lankan IGF, we have this group, we want this policy to be changed like this. We can give them the suggestion and they will take it up at the ICANN. Yes, Wong? Yeah. Not govern, but they have policies, but we can influence. Yeah. So that kind of activity is what is expected out of this internet. And basically, people who do not know how the internet is operating, this is how it is operating. It's a collective effort by everybody. So that is the basic idea. So I think we are now clear what internet governance is, right?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Wijewardane. ISOC LK Membership Committee Chairman. With the permit of the head table, can I give some my point of view of the few of the question which they ask? Yeah, the one question was they ask about darknet. It's like this. If I say there are name boards all over the world. So if you want to go from one place to another place, you go and see that name boards and go to your destinations. But there are places where there's no name board, but you know some certain people are known that places. So you go and ask from one person to another person to another person. That's how you reach the destinations. So the Tor browser is an onion browser. It's a shared browser thing. So if you install your Tor browser into your PC, you're also sharing portion of your network to connect it to those people. So you're a part of that. So maybe a darknet person or whoever you want to come can go through you. That's happening. So you also part. It's like, it's not a public net. It's like a private network, connected people only very known. If I say something like this, no, okay, no, there are shops available with foods, medicines, everything is there, okay. And they advertise and they sell the products and you go and buy them, fine, it's publicly available. But there are drug dealers who deal the drugs in underground, okay, and dark area where you don't know where it's available, but it's through only the known people contact, but they're not advertising or anything. So ICANN is something like supermarket or something that you go and access where they want, or they will give you where you have something. So the darknet's happening and the other way. That's one answer for that one. And the second one is they ask about the government websites. It's keep on getting hacked. It's like this supermarket. You have products and goods and everything, and there are valuable products. Some might be not much valuable, but still they keep CCTV cameras and security people and everything there. That's fine. Okay. But there are people who sell products in the streets even, but it doesn't mean that you can take from them. You can steal from them. It's publicly available. Anybody can quickly take and go, but it's not belong to you. You can't take it. Just because of it's a vulnerable website, it's you have no permit to take that. It's an illegal act. Whether you steal 1 rupee or 1,000 rupee, it's stealing. Word comes with stealing. So whether you hack or damage or whatever, whether if it is a worthful website or a non-worthful website, if you attack it's hacking is hack. Lucky that you saved by the school net. Okay, that's one thing. Again, there are websites who deals economical transactions, e-money, cash. Those are valuable websites. Maybe you can get information from that. But mostly the government websites, Sri Lanka, they have government information which is shared to everyone. So what's the value of that? And a hacker hacked that website and proving his skills. It's like this. You know karate, you have a black belt, another person is a poor guy, you hitting them and you're showing them, okay, I'm a black belt guy. It's wrong. Okay? So these websites not a value, it's not that much content available. It's all available. It's few information about to give to the public. These are the services the government is doing, blah, blah, blah. So they don't want to protect that into that much security level implementing. It's like this. You want to protect gold, but then you're putting a gold padlock to the door. So it's easily they can take the padlock itself rather than taking the inside the buttons. So this is what's happening. It doesn't mean a person is fallen in the road. You can't crash him in the road and go the other side. So you need to help him. But you may say that he's on my road, I can follow. No, it's not. You need to help them. So don't do harm anything. Thank you.
The government policy had always been, even the present government or the previous governments, when it comes to web, the websites are, it's the government authority. So the idea of hacking a system, hacking a website and getting it down just shows that the government has no authority over their own site. So because of that, there's a tarnishing of the image of the government. So that's why I differ from you. It's a government has to protect their side. Okay, it's like a government has to protect us, right? In terms of now, I don't have to have I don't have to know the karate to defend myself because there's a police to do that. So likewise, the government has to protect it. So it's the policy of the government. Unfortunately, because I remember I ran priu.gov.lk. The very first thing during the height of the war, the very first thing they did was they want to hack the PRIU. That's the president's site. They first sent me an email 2 nights before saying that I have hacked the Pakistani president's site. Here is the image of that. And that's what I'm going to do to you. So I am being the webmaster. I had to protect it because that would tarnish the image of the president of the Sri Lankan government. So in 1998, for 2 days, PRIU was targeted, and I must tell you that it never went down. Right, for 2 days from all over the world. It came from Norway, Sweden. I mean, I was basically for 2 nights, I have not slept. Just watching the website, just because we had the security. I can see it in front of me, the firewalls, how they're acting also. Right? So what I'm trying to tell you is, it's the image that you are trying to protect. And what happened in 2014 on 2014 April 15, we were all basically on holiday, and that day they went and targeted our gov.lk DNS servers. That was their primary target, so that all the gov.lk would be down. I must tell you, the SLT, we all got together that morning, and we managed to somehow within hours to restore the site, so that we took it as a one of the. But as you said, and also Professor Gihan is telling, when we tell them that there is some of the webmasters of the government, we tell them, look, there is an issue. Even the private sector, they take it as a sort of like a, why you are telling us? Like it's so we have to actually that day on the 14th, and I was actually in the control room watching all the within hours with the army, everybody is coming in, and because I as the consultant, I was in charge at that particular point. I took over at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and within 2 hours we restored everything. So when we were doing it, I had to give certain, basically using the government authority, I gave the order to some of the sites to be taken by our people. The army took over some of them. Likewise, we took over, because that to make sure that the image would not be tarnished. Right. So that's the image that you're talking about. That's why I differ from you. It's true. It's true that government is a public data. Who cares? Right? Yeah. So anyway, I have to rush. I'm sorry because.
Yeah, now it's time for the lunch. Before moving into the lunch, we are going to do a little gift presentation here for the best performer for the session. So it's been elected the guy in the first seat, so as the best performer for the session. So Professor Gihan and Harsha will join in the presentation. Thank you. He's Thank you very much. Yeah, there will be. So lunch is in the second room from this room. Yeah.